You can always connect with us through our YouTube channel, that is NCRT Events. So viewers, once again, I would like to welcome all our learners, all the audiences, the teachers, teacher educators in this particular program, that is the 7th training session of our pilot program on visual thinking routines for educators. Well, we are delighted to have with us teachers, teacher educators and school leaders from the states of Delhi, Haryana, Gujarat, Assam, Odisha and Andhra Pradesh joining with us in today's conversation. And viewers, we all know that with the advent of digital tools and technology, it has become the need of the hour to integrate technology, that is ICT, in our classroom scenario in order to make our classroom experiences easily accessible to everyone and also to leverage and enhance our classroom experiences for our learners. So through a synergistic combination of technology and creativity focused pedagogies, NCRT CIT in collaboration with Adobe India has designed this program, which aims to cultivate creativity, innovation and digital empowerment among the educators. So let's watch a video on Adobe Express.
In collaboration with Adobe India, presents a pioneering online training program. Discover the power of Adobe Express and Adobe Acrobat with AI Assistant to bring digital creativity and AI skills into the classroom. Starting from 6th of June till the end of July, join us every Tuesday and Thursday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. Tune in to the NCERT Events YouTube channel and be a part of the future of education.
Welcome back, viewers. As you just got to know that we started this training program on 3rd of June until 31st of July. We are here with all of you discussing more on the different aspects of creativity and AI skills. Well, over the next 1.5 months, we have a 20-hour long program for all of you, which has been divided into 2 segments. The first part or the first segment is for all the teachers, regardless of their subject. And second is the specialized techniques for integrating subjects into the curriculum. Now, viewers, we also have an image of the different programs and the different training sessions we are going to conduct as a part of this particular training schedule. We are going to present this image on your screens. So this is the pilot training program on digital creativity and AI skills. And in this image, you got to know that the different topics we are going to cover as a part of this training schedule, the timings of the program along with the days and their dates, so that you can always connect with us and tune in our live sessions if you have any of the questions. So feel free to connect with us in the comment section of our YouTube channel, that's NCRT Events. So now let's get ready to ignite our creativity with Adobe Express. We have our team from Adobe India, and allow me to introduce you with our team from Adobe India, Ms. Jasmeet Kaur Kang and Ms. Meenakshi Oberoi. Welcoming you in this conversation.
Thank
and would
you.
like to introduce you to our viewers as well. We have with us Ms. Jasmeet Kaur Kang, an education evangelist with Adobe India. She leads K-12 professional developmental activities at Adobe. A very warm welcome to you.
Thank you.
Then we also have with us Ms. Meenakshi, who is an Adobe creative educator and has worked extensively in building the capacity of teachers in Adobe Express. Welcoming you as well.
Thank you.
And I would also like to take this moment to welcome all our learners, all the school leaders, the teachers who have connected with us in this conversation. We are again emphasizing the point that you can share your questions with us, and we try our best to answer all your questions in the program itself. So as I just informed you that it is the 7 training schedule, 7 training program of our this particular session. So Jasmeet ma'am, without further ado, I'll request you to please give a recap of what we have discussed so far.
Sure, yeah. So last time we worked upon essential creativity skills for students, right? And we also collaborated with a lot of teachers. I could see on the Padlet a lot of submissions coming in with respect to whatever we were creating in our last session. Meenakshi and I worked upon different creatives, and we saw your creations as well coming to us. So we learned about how essential creativity skills could be developed in the classroom. So that was our last session. And thank you, teachers, because we have been receiving your whatever creations you have been sending to us on the Padlet. We have been viewing that very closely and request the educators, whoever have still not sent us any of their creations, request you all to definitely send those for today's session.
All right, thank you so much for apprising us about those details. Ma'am, we also have a welcome kit that has been shared with the registered participants. Please inform us more on that.
Sure. So as you might have received like 2 emails from our end, one email contains the welcome kit, and the other one contains like the intro email in which you can log into Adobe Express. So in your welcome kit, you will have the schedule, the login guide, and also a web page that has basically all the details that you would need for this particular program. And the second email that you have received has the sign-in steps. So in the sign-in steps, you could see that we have provided you with information on how to log into Adobe Express. We still see that in the comments section of our YouTube that some of you have been saying that you have not been able to log in or there are certain problems. So we request you all to submit the registered form with us by 30th of this month. The form link is still open. If you have still not received a welcome email, we'll send you one once you tick mark on the yes option, and then we'll be able to send those details to you in your inboxes. And yeah, that's about the welcome kit, and I hope that you all are able to log into Adobe Express. We're also now going to watch a video on how to log into Adobe Express so that you all are very clear on the steps to log in. So viewers, that was the video for Adobe Express. You just saw that Adobe Express is a tool in which you can create all the educational content that you wish to, infographics, web pages, videos, worksheets, and lesson plans as well. And it does not only just allow students to sort of engage, but also develop skills like visual thinking and persuasive communication that will give them an edge in the, I would say, classroom and also in their lives. Now, we already spoke about the sign-in process and the videos that you might have received, but we also have a video in which we'll help you see and look at the process of signing in. You will have to go to new.express.adobe.com, and once you're on that particular website, you will see a sign-in page. if you have logged in already on your accounts, you can click on Continue with Google and select Pilot Digital Creativity Skills account to log into your Express accounts. If you have not logged in yet, you could just sign in by typing in your registered email ID and password, and you will be able to log into Adobe Express accounts. Let's have also the video now so that you all can view the process along while signing in to Adobe Express.
This video depicts the process of logging into your Adobe Express educational accounts. To begin with, please follow the teacher's login guide provided in your welcome kit. In the teacher's login guide, we have depicted 4 steps for you to follow to log in into your Adobe Express educational accounts. Kindly remember to use your registered email ID only. On the first page, please click on the Adobe Express link provided. This will take you to the login page of Adobe Express. On the login page, please enter your registered email ID to proceed into your login. Now enter the password linked with your email ID. And click on Continue. Upon continuing, you will be given option to choose between 2 profiles. Kindly select the Pilot Digital Creativity Skills profile only. This will take you to your Adobe Express educational account. Your educational account will look something like this. It will welcome you with your name, and on the left panel, you can see the educational resources. Welcome. Now let's begin.
Well, that was the video for Adobe Express and how to sign into Adobe Express. Now today what we have done is we also have 2 questions for you in which we would ask you if you have been able to activate the account, and if not, then what are the reasons. I request all of you to be ready with your mobile phone so that you can scan the QR code and share your answers with us so that we can know what is the problem that you might be facing if you have not logged into your Adobe Express accounts. So as you can see, I'm presenting my screen has a QR code that is displayed. I request all of you to scan this QR code so that we can get your responses. Once you give responses on this particular question, which is, have you activated your Adobe Express educational accounts? We will get to know the number of yes and no's. So, and then the next question that follows after this is, what are the problems that you're facing? So it will give us basically an idea about if you're able to log into Express or not, and if not, what is the reason because of which you're not able to log in. So I request all of you to sort of send in your responses to us. I see 1 response till now, but I request all of you to just scan this QR code and make sure that you're giving us the answer so that we are aware if you are able to log into Adobe Express accounts or not. We'll keep this screen on for about 30 to 40 seconds so that we can have your answers and we could know that you're facing any problems with respect to logging into Express. And once we have the answers from your end, it will give us an idea of what are the problems that you are facing while logging to Adobe Express.
So I'm sure that our viewers are going to scan this QR code and sharing their responses with us. Meanwhile, just meet ma'am, I would like to ask you, what are we going to discuss today? As I just informed the viewers that the topic of discussion is visual thinking routines for educators. Now, what exactly do we mean by visual thinking routines?
All right, I'll ask you actually, Simran, what do you think visual thinking routine could look like? Any idea?
I believe it's more about visuals and graphics and photographs and something very colorful on the screen, is it?
Okay, so because you have been there in all our sessions and you have seen what we have been doing, so you're very correct, I would say. And more about visual thinking routines is what you're going to get in this session. So we're going to talk about basically what are the ways in which you can make your students' thinking visible in the classroom. So I know that a student has learned something because I taught that in the classroom, but do I know that the student has got that completely inside their system? So for example, last time I remember you were saying you were not a math maths person, right?
Yes.
When you were in the classroom. Even I wasn't one. But I remember my teacher asking me intuitive questions and also sort of telling me that, hey, could you give me like a stats map or something like that, in which I could present my learnings to teachers. And that is I would say that was one important part of my maths class, because I used to enjoy that. I used to enjoy telling them that, hey, this is what I learned through a visual, I would say a graph, or I would present it by taking a chalk
Maybe
and on the
activity
chalk.
based.
Yeah, activity based. It could be anything. It could be simply presenting your information with the help of an infographic, presentation, posters, everything that we have been creating on Express. Meenakshi, would you like to add on to this?
Absolutely. So, there are very few chances where a student could actually openly confess that, I'm thinking a lot, but I'm not able to say it. So here, every teacher has a dream to see, to visualize what is going on in the minds of these students. For example, Simrat had last time shared the fear of mathematics, or I wouldn't call it really the fear, but then that's something she was a little worried about. So today that has been on top of my mind, and while we are going to engage you in one of the questions after you have covered what you're covering, we are going to engage you in a question that might get you thinking about that subject. So what we're trying to convey over here is learning is a consequence of thinking. So if thinking is happening in class, learning is definitely happening. We need to know how far, how deep are our students thinking, and we need to know their thoughts.
All right. So do we also have a question for our viewers?
Yes, I'm just going to bring that question on the screen. So if I could request for my screen on now for everybody, right now you're looking at the question, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive you towards thinking about, first I'm going to prepare the ground towards thinking about thinking, right? So all our educators continue to shift. Now we're looking at the way pedagogies are shifting. We're looking at the ways people want to think differently, and teachers want to do, carry on the learning engagement differently in their classrooms, which means not just carry on with the procedures, but have a peek into the conceptual understanding. What is it that students are really taking back? Are the students being able to show their thinking? With that thought, we have brought you today a lot of things about visible thinking. Visible thinking is a flexible and systematic research-based approach, and this is especially popular in integrating the development of student thinking with content learning across subject areas. It's not restricted to just making English, math or science fun. It could be anything. I could be having a conversation with you and engaging you and making your thinking visible. How? Let's see. Let's say today I have a question for you. Yeah? Simran, get ready to answer, and I'll request everybody to please use your YouTube chat window to answer this question. It's a very thought-provoking question for my students, because I want to know whether they like maths or not. And I have so many of you in the audience. So I would like to ask you a question today. I would like to ask you, if maths was an animal, it would be a dash. And because dash. It could be anything. It could be a fish, it could be a lion, it could be a giraffe. So for example, for me, if maths was an animal, it's going to be a crow, because it understands the concept of zero. Okay, so let's see what your answers are. Please type your answers in the chat window. Until then, let me invite Simran to see what she has on her mind.
Well, I'll still go with lion. If maths was an animal, I think it would be a lion, because that's really scary.
Fantastic. How about you, Jasmeet?
I think for me it would be a dinosaur. Something I would want to be extinct.
Because it's unpredictable. I think.
Yeah.
Interesting to see that both our presenters had this math fear in mind, and I would love to take a peek into your thoughts as well. I'll request you to let me know, Jasmeet, as the responses start coming in. But you see the process behind it. Right now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to know for my math classes, who is it who are with me? How many of you are a little scared? Some are excited, some are fearful, some are intrigued by it. So I want to know the thoughts on my students, because I need to deal with them every day.
I have a couple of answers. So one teacher, Monica Sharma, has said, math would be a giraffe because difficult to hold the neck.
Oh, perfect.
And then somebody, Ritu Agnihotri, says that fox because it is very clever. Such
I
an
like
interesting
that
answer,
Yeah,
right?
very nice.
And Puturu V. Karunakar Rao says elephant because it is intelligent. And that's again, I
And the
think,
memory with it.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. I'm with you.
And I think there's a channel called Basics of Science which has joined us, and that says zebra because it had algebra.
There you go. See, some people are linguistic by nature. They would go and rhyme it up. Some would actually like to show you or emote or, share their emotions about it. Some would be bold enough to say, I think it is this, but I still have a kind of a mystery around it, right? So yes, there are facts that will come out, there is fiction that will come out. We move beyond the realms of just staying in mathematics. We diverge into multiple areas. We bring out the socio-emotional aspect of learning as well, because I get to know my students and what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah, that's what visual thinking is all about.
Yeah.
Well, it was lovely to note down that visual thinking is actually the kind of imagination that we put into, or maybe the creativity that we put into the different subjects.
Absolutely.
Say mathematics like crow or giraffe or lion and whatsoever.
Yes, absolutely. And I think taking from there, it's a lot of thoughts. It's a lot of inquisitiveness. It's a lot of open-mindedness. I mean, look at the way you have just now opened your mind to making math an animal. Who would think of that, right? Just because the question is so interesting, the responses that you get are going to be more interesting. They're going to be deeper. So we have to spend time to think about how can I help my students' thinking become more visible? And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Of course, so we just got a glance of what a visible thinking is. Let's dive deeper and try and understand how we can integrate or maybe accommodate visible thinking or visual thinking in a classroom scenario. So, Jasmeet ma'am.
Sure. So I think I'd like to start with just saying that visual thinking is going to help your students to comprehend better, right? Yeah. And to also sort of promote the visual thinking routines in your classroom. We're going to help you with a couple of techniques that you could do that can help raise your student voices and respond to their individual sort of learning needs in the classroom. We're going to explore a lot of creative tips and strategies to help you do that in your classroom. So let's just deep dive and let's start with this. I'm going to just present my screen and show you the first part of what we're going to do today, which is basically about what visual thinking routines are and how they're going to help us in the classroom. So as you all can see, I'm already working on a presentation on Express, and this is what I created for today's session. So little learnings for you all, that whenever you need something, you could just make in a quick presentation to sort of present your learning. And coming to the first part, so of course we talked about how visual thinking routine can increase student comprehension. It can help teachers gain insight, of course, because the teachers will be then able to understand better that, oh, this is what I taught in the classroom and this is what my students have understood from whatever I have taught in the classroom, right? And then, of course, see and hear students' voice, because you'll be able to see their definitely see what they are bringing up with, what the kind of examples that they're sharing with you, or the kind of visuals or the kind of infographics or posters they would be creating in the classroom. So that is what visual thinking is all about, and this is what it is going to help you with. Also, it is going to help promote self-reflection amongst the students and create an opportunity for collaboration and communication. Remember, we emphasized so much in our last session on the C's, right? Yeah. And so this is why creating an opportunity for collaboration and communication is extremely important for you all, so that your students can help take that agency forward and sort of create different pieces that they want to present their learning. I'm now going to go back to one of the, I would say, already created infographics that I have picked up from Adobe Express. This is a template that I picked from Adobe Express, and I have it ready because I wanted you all also to sort of see what I'm going to work upon. So as you can see, this is like a beautiful template on natural resources. And let's say and I think this is a topic that also comes in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, all these grades, it keep coming in. And also it has a sort of visibility where students are able to create different kind of, I've seen students created charts on it, students creating presentations, videos on it. So today we're going to talk about this. So let's say I have this infographic, and this is an infographic that I have shared with my students that, hey students, we did natural resources in our last class. It was a 35-minute class. We talked about renewable resources and non-renewable resources as well. Now I would like you to add in whatever you have learned about these resources in this particular infographic. Such a nice and a visual way for them to sort of present their learning in this infographic. And the best part is they could edit anything that is in here. For example, if they want to add more elements, they could add more elements. If they want to delete some, they could just press backspace and it's gone, right? So these are all the things that they can do. And of course, if they want to bring in, they can do undo, redo, whatever, however they want to place this. Now, I have this infographic and I had also opened the chapter in NCERT about renewable resources, and I was just going through that. But then I saw that there are these figures also that you see right at the bottom, which also sort of represent these renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Now, if I were a student, how would I sort of imagine to present my learning? I would definitely want to add my text into pointers wherein I can present that, hey, 1, this is a renewable resource, 2, this is a renewable resource. And once I have those learnings in here, for example, let's say I start with pointer and I just move my the textual part over here, and I'm going to make this size as 30 so that it is more visible and it is clear. I'm also going to align it on the left so that again it is more clear and it is visible to everybody in a clean manner. And now I'm going to start adding in my resources. So in my renewable resources, I'm going to add the first part. And so I keep adding my stuff over here, and similarly I make like a dotted list for my non-renewable resources as well. So let's say if I say talk about the first resource or the second resource. Oh, I already have pointers, I forgot that. But yeah, if you want to just duplicate this, you could do this and you could have the same list over here on this end as well. And you could talk about your non-renewable resources on this side. And then as you can see in this infographic, there are ways to save natural resources. So there are already pointers listed over here. You could simply click in here and start writing in what are the ways to save natural resources. And for the ease of access, what you could do is you could increase the size of your text box. And once I aligned it on the left hand side, I could start typing in my ways to save the natural resources as well. And as we were talking about the top C's, I would actually share this with Meenakshi as well so that she is able to sort of work on this particular infographic as well. So if I do that, I'll be able to just simply type in her name and then she will be able to collaborate with me on this particular file. So as you all know that this is one way to do it. The other way to do is click on the share button and then a pop-up box appears for you all. It takes some time. We'll have to wait and be patient for a couple of seconds. And then what you could do is you could add the email or the name of the person here as well so that you could find that person in your org and send either an edit access or either a comment access to that person. So this is how you could work on this infographic. This was one very basic example of a visual thinking routine that we could do with our students on chapter Natural Resources that we have just studied in the classroom. Now moving on, there have been a lot of examples and a lot of comments that we have got from teachers saying that how could we integrate this easily into maths as well. So worry not, because I have a maths example today here with me and I'm going to jump to that example right away from here. So as you can see, this is like a word problem storyboard. So basically it talks about visually display your mathematical thinking over here in this format. And you know what, I had readied one example for you all already in which you can see how easily you could just put in a math problem to here. So I'm just going to present my screen once again and I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it like this so that you could see the example I've put in. Now, as you all can see, there's this very basic example of a herd of 33 elephants. You could like visualize that over here, or you could maybe write plus have elements of elephants maybe here, and then joins a herd of 84 elements. How many elephants are there now? Such a nice visual way to sort of give students this opportunity to create something and also have fun along with presenting that information in a visual format. What do you think about this, Meenakshi? Do you think students will be interested to work on this? or they would enjoy working on something like this or not? Especially for maths, because Simran and I are very scared of maths. What if kids like us are asked to do like a word problem? We would get really, really scared, right?
So, you know what's most interesting here is that, Jasmeet, this has brought to light for me as a teacher, where are you, which direction are you thinking? Are you really breaking the word problem that I had presented to you into segments, or are you really taking it as a chunk? By adding those images, it not only brings in clarification or clarity into your minds as a student, but also in my mind as to where my student is getting stuck. This is exactly what visible thinking is all about. Making the thinking visible for the student and for the teacher as well. There are multiple examples. What you've given is an example of early years. If you take it from here to higher grades, especially higher grades, where math concepts become multi-step, right? So it's very difficult to catch where are my students going wrong. So here at that stage, if we break that into portions and if we put it in front of our students to say, start doing it in steps. For example, a word problem remains a word problem. But if a word problem is broken into numbers, text, keywords, then I'm giving a way for my student to actually go ahead and simplify this. Allow me to take you through my screen to show you one or two examples here. Now, while we are doing that, you will see one of my favorite activities to do with my students for making math thinking visible is math question of the day. So I used to put this number right in the center of the screen, and I used to say, what question comes to your mind with this number? For example, 76. I've just picked up something off my head. I don't even want to say 76. Let's make it another number, 72. Let's make it 54. Any number that you want. 2-digit, 3-digit, multiple digit, 8 digits. When we put that number there, there is a mystery. There is a way in which every student will conceive that number. Let's say it's a 4-digit number, 7280. What's happening here? Too many numbers to handle. 728076. More numbers to handle. How students break is, for example, right now when you heard me, I'm breaking these numbers into 2s. You could even break it into 3s, 7 to 8 and the rest of the 3. It really helps me see how my students think, how they capture these topics better than the way I can teach them. If I can show my screen for a minute,
Sure.
I'll love to show you, because I know that, mostly after these kind of, talks, we normally get questions about, what about a senior student who's studying, let's say, about probability? Take a look at this. It's such a beautiful graphic which just breaks up this piece of understanding probability into smaller chunks. Now I have made it simpler. I've broken it into smaller chunks, given students an example and also the solution. This stays as an imprint in the minds of my student, and also they could add visuals to remember. Icons really are symbolic. That really helps you remember things for a longer time. So for memory retention as well, this is a great idea.
Well, I think this 3-to-1 strategy is quite interesting, and despite the fact whether a student likes a particular subject or not, I think they are going to find this actually interesting. How do you see that?
Yeah, absolutely. You actually, pointed towards a very good strategy, which is 3-to-1. What's this 3-to-1? How do you use it? Well, it's all there in our Adobe Express, but before I take you there, allow me to help you unpack 3-to-1. It's one of my favorite pieces. I use it at any time of learning. Now, whether I'm starting the learning class or let's say I'm starting a topic today, and let me move away from mathematics. I've scared people enough with mathematics.
All right.
So let me take you to another topic. Let's say I'm talking right now about volcanoes, right? Or natural resources, as Jasmeet was, had just initiated that talk. What stage of learning am I at? I want to know that students, what do they know about, natural resources already? Where do I start teaching them? Because we've never found time to go to the last, apart from looking at our textbooks, we don't find time to go and interact with the teacher in the other class to say, when you send them to my class, what did they learn about it, right? So it's important that we could spend some time, and probably this could be sent out so that you're not using your class time. So you send this graphic as a piece into their homework. They will respond to this and say 3 things that you know about natural resources, 2 questions that you have about natural resources, and 1 fact that you know about natural resources. Now that gives me a kickstart into making my learning of natural resources smoother. I know where to start from. I have a glimpse of my entire class, where are they in their learning or understanding of natural resources. Apart from that, let's say I'm right now teaching. Now I'm in the middle of my chapter. I've already covered my first 2 learning objectives. I'm looking at the outcome, and before I start taking an assessment on it, I would love to pause, consolidate the understanding, scaffold that understanding. Once again, 3 to 1 is your strategy. Then we move on to the last stage, probably that of wrapping up the whole unit. I'm not talking about assessments in particular right now. I will visit that. But with 3 to 1, I like to consolidate understanding and also give them time to reflect upon what have they really learned about. There are loads of creatives that are already there in Adobe Express. I'll share my screen to show you how do I find these, because these kind of pieces that help you get a peek into your students' thinking, their understanding, their learning, and consolidating learning and reflecting is something that's extremely important for your classes. Let me take you there. So on my screen, you will see on the top there is a search bar. You already know about it, right? Over there, if you can simply just type reflection, that's it. All you need to do is type reflection. Yeah. So when we type reflection,
let's also watch the screen in order to understand it better.
Yeah, thank you. So when I type reflection, there will be number of reflections and number of ways in which you can reflect. Look, there's a complete piece on wellness reflection. Well, I must pause to say that, mental wellness is extremely important for us. And there are these wellness reflections that are already available with some interesting clues and questions which you can very easily ask in your class. Yeah, you could simply just pick it up and start learning. Now look at this 3 to 1. This is one of my quick picks from here, where I say 3 things I learned today, 2 things I can do to implement them, and 1 thing that I want to ask about. Now this is 1 3 to 1 that we could have given you today for reflecting, because you are learning about a concept today, and we are going to talk a lot about visual thinking routines. How can we take it to our class? And this could be one of your homework where I could share this with you to say, I want to know what is your key takeaway today. So that's a kind of a wrap up for me to take it with you. Another one could be is right here. 3 things that I found interesting. Now we teach every day. We are in classrooms giving our students the best that we can. How do we know? How are they perceiving it? How do we know? What did they find interesting? Do they even like when I bring in certain strategies? Which strategy worked today and which one did not? These are the kind of pieces that allow you to get a peek into the minds of your student. And then, of course, there are the year wrap-ups, or just before breaking for summer vacation, you would want to wrap up. How was the, first few months or the days in this grade? Or as they come back at the end of the term, probably September being end of the term, you could actually ask students for reflections, and they could reflect on these, important things. All you need to do is simply go here, and this graphic is ready for you to use. You want to add your school's logo, you want to add name, whatever you would like to add, you can simply just start adding. You can even tweak these questions. For example, it's not 2022 anymore, and we all know that. You could actually go ahead, click on it, and change anything that you want over here and add more elements as well. For example, I would love to add elements. Like I said, icons are my best friends. So what I'm going to do is I want them to think. So I'm going to just say light bulb. Okay, I'm going to get a lot of images over here. Look at that one. Love it. So I'm just going to bring it here and put it here, and just a question gives my students a clue to start thinking about it and then respond to me. You see how beautifully with simple elements like this, you can actually enrich the kind of pieces that you're creating or the assets that you have over here. And there are multiple over here. Let's say I want to give another one over here. So for each of these, I want light bulbs, I want thinking, or I want lightning. For me, lightning is also a kind of a thinking. So let's say I'm going with lightning. I'll get some icons here. I hope I do. And I will very quickly pick up these as my lightning or bolt lightning, anything that you like. Yeah. So you can actually pick up any of these icons that appear here. And if it gets stuck, just the way it has gotten stuck for me, we're working on the web. Just refresh it. It'll be good to go for you. Yeah, there you see, I have my icons available now. I brought it here. I'm going to increase the size so that I can place it properly. Always increase the size so that you have the right placements. So what I'm doing is 2 questions. I'm going to go for bulbs, and 2 of the questions I'm just going to place just about a lightning over here. Yeah, so here you go. I can view all over here. There are, oh, that's a nice plug actually. I would love to plug into their thinking to see what is it that's going on in their mind. So I would love for them to plug into it and put it here. Yeah, so take a look at my graphic now. I'll just decrease the size here. There you go. It's ready to download, and all you need to do is either download or share it with your students the way you want to, with a link or a graphic. Yeah, I hope that helped.
Of course, that helped a lot, and I think that students are really going to find this very interesting. And the kind of additions and little omissions that we can do at our end, I think that's nice to watch.
Perfect.
Well, getting to know more about this strategy, I think we should proceed ahead with the 5 E's of learning models that you would like to discuss ahead with our viewers.
Absolutely. 5 E's of learning. In NEP also, if you look at NEP 2020, it encourages you to go ahead for holistic learning. It tells you that your students should be able to think. They should be the ones who should be learning, or active learning should be happening in your classrooms. And there is a learning instructional model that is absolutely aligned to this, and that is of 5 E's. You all, I'm sure, are aware of these 5 E's. However, today we have adopted this as our approach to bring in visual thinking live in front of everybody. Within these 5 E's we start with exploring. We then unpack, and both Jasmeet and I have partnered today to actually take you through these 5 E's. But if I take you to my screen, I also want to give you a peek into, where am I going to find, because right now we're going to talk a lot and you will need a lot of referrals, right? A referral material. Guess what? Adobe Express has already available these 5 E structures for you. So while I'm going to definitely talk to you about it, I want to show you as well. So I'm going to show you on my screen where to find these 5 E's. And as I find these, I'm going to talk to you about it. Yeah. So over here, you can go and you will be able to find 5 E's of learning. Just simply say 5 E's of learning, and you will be able to find all the graphics which inform you about what are these 5 E's. Just give me a minute as I bring them for you. There are beautiful graphics here. There you go. Now, very simple as that. When we start with the 5 E's, these are scientific approaches about which we think. The first one being engage. How do we start with engage? Engage is your first step into the classroom, into teaching learning. While I was doing, talking about natural resources, I'm going to now change my topic. And let's say I'm going to talk about another topic. Let's say I'm talking about a scientific topic of photosynthesis. That's another one of my favorite ones. Those of you who have been with me, they'll know I'll always pick up photosynthesis. I don't know what attracts me towards it, but I just like the greenishness of it. And also probably because my graphic is pretty greenish, so it brought that to my mind. So while I talk about engage, photosynthesis is an abstract kind of a topic for my students. They wouldn't be really interested in knowing what is photosynthesis. For them, photo is a photograph rather than talking about plants. So it has nothing to do with plants. If I have to get them interested in it, I have to have a hook to get them interested, right? But do remember, students are not just learning from us. They're learning from multiple resources. And as they learn from multiple resources, they gain knowledge from multiple resources. So definitely there will be a few in your class who will already know what is photosynthesis. Therefore, considering student as an intelligent learner, as an informed learner, we get into the piece which is called engage. Now, to engage them, either I could bring in a very nice picture or a graphic. Let's say I'm going to go for photosynthesis and find a nice picture over here. Do remember, I'm just about introducing this in my class, right? So I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the images over here. Now, while I'm going to choose my first one, I want to give my students some clue. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I've taken up this as my image that I'm going to use. This is to engage my students. I'm going to just remove all the extra information, right? I'm going to let photosynthesis stay. I will remove sunlight, I will remove oxygen, I will remove carbon dioxide, I will just let this image be, and of course all of this as well. Yeah. So why I'm removing all of this is because I don't want to give too many clues to my students. However, not everyone is ready for learning when I start teaching them. Therefore, I'm waiting for them to actually take a look at this picture, get intrigued enough with this picture. I make this my hook and I say there are some arrows coming out of it. What do you think is happening? Do remember, I did not take away the arrows. Yeah. Why? Because I wanted to show them that I want you to think about this picture. Now, without saying much, I simply put this in front of them. There are roots. There's something going into the roots. There's something going inside the tree, and there's something that is coming outside of the tree. So what is it that's happening here? This actually brings in a lot of questions in minds of students. This brings in wonderings in the minds of my students. It also brings in a lot of questions, but they also are informed. Therefore, my next step will be go here and look for KWL. You know what is KWL, right? What do you already know about this? That is the way I'm going to go ahead and ask my students. Let's say I'm going to pick up this one. Right now I'm not brainstorming. Therefore, there are multiple formats of KWL that are available. We take a mindful choice, and yes, we are spoiled for choices. Therefore, if you want to pick up one, just simply click on customize one. You know you are talking about plants. You could easily remove these elements or turn them into green. Scroll down here, go to effects and choose your color. If you don't have, click on this and you could actually pick up any of these colors that you would like. For example, I would love to turn this. Yeah. So as you can see, I've just turned my purples into greens. Similarly, simply go over here once again. In effects, you can either take either of these shades that you would like to, or simply just click on this, this particular one, go over here and change the color as you like it. And if you don't like it and if you think this is overpowering, simply just remove it. Yeah. As you like it, you could actually choose either from effects. I went over here, I said customize, more colors over here, and I chose a green one. There you go. I can have shades of green here. So I'm not going to waste my time just talking about this, but I've given you gist of what I was trying to convey. Yeah. Now it looks more greenish. Now this is more inviting and the color scheme stimulates thinking among students. Now this is what you can play around in an e-format, which goes missing when you're doing it on paper. Yeah. So here my students need to tell me about photosynthesis. What do they already know? What is it that I want to know, and what is it that I have learned? It's such a basic but beautiful graphic. As they grow in their understanding, this KWL can be extended to KWL, Q, R. Now what are all of this? How do we come to know about all of this? Or you could use it for different purpose. For example, for brainstorming activity, you could use this one. Or here is another one from brainstorming. This will give you a brief also about what is it that they are supposed to do. So let's say you're sending it at home and the students have never done KWL before. This comes with instructions. Beautiful, isn't it? Look at this one, so neat. And there are so many instructions given. So you don't have to really draft those instructions. All of that is ready for you. And this is a middle and high school graphic that you could be using. Another one is this one. Now over here, you could actually extend and make more boxes and bring in more. For example, I would love to say, know, wonder, learn, add an R to tell me what resources will you need to learn about this. Then I could also bring in references. I could also bring in visits, any kind of field visits that you want to understand. Probably not about photosynthesis, but they could always go into a garden. Why does every leaf has a different green color? So all of those thinking, if you need to capture, you can keep adding over here and have an extended way of thinking and just engaging them in that topic. I think engaging is the point where if you start it right, I think you've taken off on the right note.
Of course. So I think the prime significance is engaging, the prime significance of a classroom, that you need to engage your learners, you need to engage everyone in the classroom, and then we can proceed towards the rest of the 4 E's of learning, right? And viewers, we discussed about engaging. So I'll request you to please engage in our live conversation. Please keep on sharing your questions with us in the comment section of our YouTube channel, that is NCRT Events, and we'll try our best to take the answers of all the questions that you'll be sharing in with the conversation with us. So we just discussed about 1E of learning model, that was engage, and let's get to know about more of them. So Jasmeet ma'am.
Sure. So we'll talk about the next E, which is exploring. But before that, I'd like to present my screen and remember the Mentimeter that we had shown you at the beginning of this session, which was about if you have not been able to log into your Adobe Express accounts, there's an additional question that talks about if you have not yet activated your Express educational accounts, tell us about any teaching or technical and non-technical problem that you might be facing. So I still see that some of you have actually given us the answer for this, but if you have not given us an answer, please just scan the QR code and then send in your responses so that we are able to understand your problem and help you with the solution to this. Now I see 50% did not know the URL for the login and 50% of you say have not received the access. Now if you do not know the URL for your login, I would just repeat the URL. It is new.express.adobe.com. This is what the URL is. So if you type this in your address bars, I would say, you will be able to sort of go to the Adobe Express homepage, new.express.adobe.com. That's the URL. And once you actually just type this in, then you will go to the sign-in screen. Mine is the screen, I have already logged in, so it does not show the sign-in screen, but it will show the sign-in screen for you. Now, people who say they don't have received any access, so which means that whenever you sent in the registration form, you submitted the registration form to us, actually you had said no, which is why, like, you did not take the yes as and did not provide the consent to us, which is why you were not able to sort of get the access. So I request you all to go to the registration form, fill that form once again for us, provide the consent in there, and then you will get an email from us, 2 emails from us, one with the sign-in process and one the welcome kit. So please make sure to do this. And now I'm going to move ahead and go to the next part of our session, which is exploring and what are the various strategies that we could use to explore. And for that, I'm going to go to my Adobe Express home screen. Now, exploring, as you all know, what exploring means. Exploring means like brainstorming on different things, different ideas that we would want to present in the classroom, or we would want our students to be able to present in the form of various ideas, right? So in here, I'm going to type in my search everything bar, I'm going to type brainstorm, and I'm going to see if there are certain templates that are on brainstorming. So there is a brainstorming template that I can see. I'm just going to click on that. And then I'm going to go to templates option. Now, if you see, there are a whole lot of worksheets and templates as well for brainstorming. So for example, as you can see this one, which says like brainstorming on a specific topic. So you could have your, whatever you are brainstorming or the topic on, you could have that in the center, and then you can branch it out further and make it more, I would say, comprehensive list of whatever you're brainstorming on. Also, if you could see, you have various examples. So for example, for your another creative idea, it says define objectives, generate ideas, evaluate and refine, and then develop sort of an action plan to whatever you're brainstorming on. Similarly, it's one of the other templates that you see on the left hand side is your big idea. So your central idea could be in the between, and then you could branch it out to different like I would say clouds that you see over here on the left hand side. So these are all the examples that you can see of a specific brainstorming sort of section. I think I really like this one that I see over here. So this one allows you to explore any topic further. And if I click on this one, as you all can see, I'm just going to increase the size so that you can see this very, very clearly. And as you can see, these are my study notes, but I could also call this as brainstorming or exploring a topic further. So let's say I'm exploring, I would say, what was the topic I was working on? I was working on resources, right? So I'm just going to say exploring about resources. I'm going to make sure that this comes in the middle so that it is centrally aligned. And then now, what are the questions that I have about resources? That is something that I could start putting in here. And the key details that I stood out to me during the session. Those are the things that I could add in here. And then I could also add a summary of whatever I learned in my resources classroom, right? So over here on the left hand side, again, as you can see, I click on the text box. I can start adding my text. So my first question could be, is the natural resources. So I could keep typing. I could keep typing in information here. Actually, I should say, are the natural resources. Any question that comes into your mind, Meenakshi, about natural resources? Because I can't think of anything right away.
The different types of natural resources.
Okay.
Where
Thank you,
can we
Simran.
find natural resources?
That's a nice question. Where can we find natural resources? So that's something that is the first question that comes in your mind. Now I'm going to actually make sure that it is really small and it can fit into my box, and I'm going to just place it over here. So that's my question 1. Similarly, I could just, as I said, duplicate this twice, and I could have my second question, I could have my third question listed down here, and I could add in my all those questions as well. Similarly, if I know anything about that, I could add in my notes. And as Meenakshi mentioned already, that we could bring in a lot of different elements also. So if there are any elements that you're looking at, let's say I just type in natural resources. Let's see if there are any elements that come in. If not, then I would actually go to my media options and maybe search some design assets from there as well. So there are some pictures that come in over here in the design asset, but let's say I'm looking for more specific kind of images, I could simply type that over here, and then I could see the kind of photos that come in for natural resources. So if I click on the photos option, I'll just click on photos, and you can see all these natural resources pictures that come in. Whatever I think are handy and I'll be able to use that, those are the ones that I could use. Similarly, this is one example of brainstorming. The other examples could look like this. So I'm going to go to my home page once again. And teachers, we are also looking forward to you creating these examples with us. We highly encourage you all to actually just work with us together during the session and create these different templates, work on these different templates and create your creations so that you can submit it us to the Padlet as well. And we are able to actually look at your creations right here in this session or even after the session as well. So I'm just going to go to once again to my templates, and now you can see more examples. So for example, there's one on brainstorm on an essay, the essay that I'm going to write about, right? So it says there's an essay topic, any question that sort of comes into my mind, and then it also talks about argument 1, argument 2, argument 3 that I want to make in that essay, and finally my conclusion element. So these are all the things that you could add in a topic like this. If you're brainstorming on an essay, if you're an English teacher and this is something that you want to break down your for your students, you could actually just type this down and you could actually just come up with various examples in which you can help them to break down their thoughts and list them those thoughts over there on their Adobe Express screens. So yeah, that was everything I think about the Explore section. We can now move on to the next E, and I'm not sure if you have guessed that already, but the next E is...
And ma'am, I believe before moving on to the next E of learning, we should go with some questions as well, because we are talking about engaging and exploring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's explore some questions in the comment section. So one of our viewers, Ritu Agnihotri ji, has asked us, how can we add one template over other? Is it possible?
Oh, I have it right here. I was actually, going to share that as a part of Explain, which is our next E. But yeah, to answer it absolutely simply, yes, it is possible. In fact, while we are creating, I would not want just one, creative going one place and then the next one going the next week. You will never be able to keep track.
Yeah.
Therefore, what could happen is you could actually make an e-folder for them, or just about, compile everything in just one place, so that while students move from one stage to another, that is from, engaging to exploring, by now the hook is set. By now we have gotten them thinking, and what they need is some more space to think, some more space to explore themselves. And before they reach the next stage of explaining, they would have actually used these graphic organizers to showcase, to make their thinking visible, and to showcase what is it that they have already learned. So it's a great practice if we can actually move them into a multi-page kind of a project. And I'm just going to show you that in Explain.
Of course, we are going to discuss that in length in our next area. Meanwhile, we have another question from our viewer. Can we actually use all these teaching aids as a part of Adobe Express for primary students as well?
Absolutely. So, this is so grade agnostic. It's about being anywhere, whether you are an early year teachers, even early year students. You see students playing on those, tablets and iPads, and they can actually drag and drop, even on your touch screen. Any touch screen can allow you, even on a mobile phone. So what we do is, in early years, you can give out, graphics to students where they have to drag and drop. Let's say, you give them some 8 pictures, okay, and you have a letter A over there, and then you say that whatever starts with letter A, drag and drop them and bring them in. That's how you use for early years. At every stage, you'll have different type of learning and different type of demands. So take a look at different graphics. Don't think about the grades that you teach. Think about what is it that you're trying to achieve over here. For example, we're giving you examples about, are you right now making your students explore? There are so many assets. Sometimes you would give them vocabulary words. Like in one of our sessions, we covered vocabulary cards or the flashcards. So depending on the kind of requirement that you have, this is all need-based, and there is loads that is available here. You can't exhaust them easily. So to answer your question,
well,
simply,
I think
yes.
this vocabulary area that you discussed with us, it also sums up the answer of our next question, where our viewer has asked us, is it also useful for language-based subjects, suppose English, Hindi, or any vernacular languages? So if you could provide an example of, just like you said, that we can use any scientific terms like photosynthesis.
Yeah.
So when we talk about language, how that can be explained, how that can be explored, and how students can be engaged.
In fact, as a language teacher, I have found this very useful, because building language skills is imperative. We all thrive for a piece where we could actually give to students that could be very helpful. I'll share my screen also with you to show what are the kind of graphics that are available, or what are the kind of videos, or other things that you can create over here. But again, I'll go back to the point to say, please define your goal first. What is it that you're looking for? Vocabulary is one. Another one is language development. There are so many grammar concepts. Students get confused. You need to show them visually enriched graphics to actually make a connection. So the visual impact of a creation is much more than, the way we can talk and tell. You could have parts of speech. There are worksheets available for you over there, which are very engaging, which are very immersive. And you can even make a video. So, let's say I take this example from my class, a Hindi teacher actually. What she does is, muhavre and lakokti are 2 things. Idioms are like one thing that you really want on top of your head while you want to become a good writer in higher grades. It's not easy for us to remember, because they're so closely knit and cleverly said that the correct usage is very important. So if I give my students the opportunity to find the right image to fit that particular idiom, that gives me a peek into the understanding of a child. And then I'll know the context in which this child is going to use. This is an example leaf that I'm picking out of one of my very dear friend who is a Hindi expert, who sent out the muhavra. So she sent out these muhavras on her home on one of the graphics, and she said, find an image related to this. Now that is where your thinking becomes visible, and that's where you know how far have these students understood this concept.
So another question is that with regard to what I have discussed before, can we also record the answers of our learners? Is that possible?
Absolutely. You have an audio option. I can't wait to actually take you to explain because I've packed all of that in the
So
explain.
let's move towards explain.
Thank you. So I want to talk about one of the most important pieces. While engaging is something that is extremely important. It just lays out the ground for exploration ahead, and the students get engaged enough to explore the topic. But you and I know we are teachers. We need to take it our way, and we need to teach them a few things. So while they are exploring, there are some concepts that need to be taught as well. Now, we can't take away the teaching part. Therefore, we must have some points or some places where we are able to get a peek into, while I am explaining this to you, what is it that you are understanding out of it? So, I'm going to share my screen and show you how I took that photosynthesis concept into making it multi-page. Allow me to first give you a wider view. This is exactly how my multi-page exercise is going to look like. All I did was, I just showed you the first one while I was exploring. I removed a few elements to make it into an explore stage, and without telling my students, this is exploration. Yeah. After that, I clicked over here. Do you see this icon over here? I clicked over here and I started adding more pages. I could add more blank pages as well, or I could duplicate this page. If you want to duplicate this page, then click on this one. If you want to add a new page, you click on this one. Yeah, you could do it with the same size, but you can see I've used different size. Now that's the liberty that you get when you're working with e-formats. So I'm going to put it over here, and I can drag and drop the pages to move them. It's so simple to shuffle these pages. Now let's say I was here. While I was here, I could actually look at templates on the left hand side. Do you see the templates here? On the left hand side, I went to templates and I typed photosynthesis once again. Now you see, I got so many responses. All I had to do is go click, click and click, and I could make such a rich one over there just the way I showed you, right? So this is the entire process of photosynthesis. Rather than just reading in books, students need a lot of exposure to different type of text, to different type of graphics to get their attention and to help retention. And also what happens is, in exams, the diagrams never look like the one that they were given in the book. So a lot of exposure is required while we are doing this as a piece. Now, do you see what happened over here? I picked up that piece, it got added here. I'll bring it in the right place so that I'm able to consolidate this process for my students. How I'm starting is, I've given my students this piece to explore, to engage. Then I can add, some bit of a blank page, whatever they want to add over here. I give them the liberty to do that to once again make their thinking visible. Now, while we do that, the next page invites them to try and fill in. Now, that is exploration. I give them the freedom to pick up the book. The textbook has all the labeling. I also am going to do exactly that in a few minutes, and I'm going to explain it to them. I might as well invite them to explore. Take a look at your books and go ahead and label it. Even if you don't understand, at least familiarize yourself with it. Then I have a complete diagram. Now this diagram is different than the one that is given in the book. Like I said, our students understand our way better than others. Now I have made this sort of a piece and it looks like a display board. It has almost no explanation. This has simple elements to explain. You can add as many elements as you want or take away any element that you don't want over here. Do remember, if I'm clicking here, it's not allowing me to do anything, and many of you will get it stuck at this stage. Just do something on the left hand side. Now wherever you see this blue box kind of a thing appearing, on the left side you see ungroup as an option. Just ungroup this. Now every element that you touch, you will see that there is grouping that has been done. Once again ungroup it. Sometimes we give up. With technology, you never give up. So over here, as soon as you click, you will see there are different elements that have been added. Now this is one image, there's one behind it. Also, you have layers on your left hand side that will show you which layer lies over, where is it that it lies, right? So you could either click on layers or simply just keep ungrouping as you like it. It's your preference. Now this is a simple graphic to invite students to begin unpacking what is photosynthesis. As I move onwards, I take them to a slightly complex way of understanding, and I start giving them definition or explanation for photosynthesis. You see over here? Now the best part is this was already done. I didn't have to make it. And while this is already done, it becomes a beautiful way for students to recap. Now once they have done that, I give them here another piece to understand. Like I said, as much exposure as you can give them, they will understand from different graphics, different ways and different language pieces. And then they will have the language to talk. Now once they are ready with all of this, next I give them this sort of a piece. Now this is slightly not connected, right? Now this has given you some bit of labeling and some bit of chemistry has come in. Now where did this come from? My students are not ready for this. No worries. Remove it. Now what students can do is go to media and I tell them, you don't have to write. You don't have to make. Simply just speak. Because in the classroom, I do not have time to accommodate my 25, 30, 35, 40, 50 students. Therefore, they use the record voiceover and they start recording over here. For example, I'll just say one sentence so that I do it very quickly for you. Photosynthesis is the process of making food by leaves. I'll say finish and that's about it. Yeah. Now as you do that, do you see what has happened? Now my voice got captured. This immediately became a multimedia piece. Every student's thinking is visible to me. Every student's voice is available to me. I know exactly at what level are they thinking or writing. Now currently they are speaking at a very baseline level. You would have noticed I've said a very basic sentence about photosynthesis, right? But I need to drive them towards scientific language. Therefore, I start giving them more complex or more in-depth or in detail items like these. This is what will set my stage. And like let's say this has been done for grade 7. Now from my grade 4, when they move to grade 7, how the complexity can increase is something that I wanted to show you through this. This definitely I'm not putting in my grade 4 unit. Now along with this, you can also have video options. Similarly, your assessments or explanations not always have to be just about writing or just sharing images or just labeling a diagram. It could also be about voice, it could be about motion. And I hope this multimedia piece will give you a great peek into making your students' thinking visible.
So here we discussed about explain, that was another E of learning. So very quickly let us move to the next E of learning, Jasmeet ma'am, because we have the last 15 to 20 minutes left in the conversation. So we'll try to be very quick.
Sure, yeah. So we are on to our fourth E, and the fourth E talks about researching, right? And it is basically elaborate, but elaborate actually just goes to how we research on a specific topic, and then how we sort of elaborate our projects, our ideas, our presentation, whatever we want to present over here. So on my screen, very quickly, as you all can see, I have a couple of research report templates laid out, and as you can see, I have pulled in some examples already that you will be able to see and work upon. And I'm just going to walk you through very quickly through a couple of templates that we have picked up. Can we have my screen, please? Thank you. So yeah, in here you can see I have typed research report at the top, and now you can see there are so many examples of writing a research report, or how we could do a specific research on a topic and how we could elaborate anything, any topic that we're working on. So I have pulled up certain examples already. For example, this is one of the examples that, let's say we were studying about honeybees, and that's a topic that had come in. Now you were asked to do like a descriptive paper or a research report on what are honeybees, where are they found, what is their colony, what are the workers, etc., and maybe fun facts about them. So this is such a nicely laid research report. As you can all see, I'm just going to increase the size a bit more so that you can see. So the introduction talks about what honeybees are and how they create their colonies, etc. There are some fun facts. So did you know facts about these honeybees? And on the right, you can see in their colony, these are the sort of roles that come in: the queen, the workers, the drones. And that's such a nice representation of a very descriptive topic that talks about what honeybees are and where they come from and what are the kind of colonies that they live in. Similarly, there's another report that I pulled in, which is about turtles. Let's say I was teaching this to my students about a specific animal or a specific topic, and this is one of the examples. Again, as you all can see, the definition of turtles, where is their origin, the temperature, are they endangered, not endangered, and a lot of, I would say, information about it. So you could say that all of these topics have been elaborated in a manner where you can sort of present these learnings. And similarly, if you see, there's one more which is like a very, very great, I would say, also an interesting topic, social media in our lives. It's like a research report on introduction of what social media is, its definition, and the kind of impact, the kind of habits that the social media is forming. So as you can all see very easily with the help of these templates, so even if I just type in over here and I say I want research templates over for me to look at, so that I could maybe share one of these templates with my students and they could start working on that template. For example, look at this one, sustainability research report. Such a descriptive report, but also sort of elaborates on the topic of sustainability, gives you an insight of what is sustainability, what are the methods of sustainability, the data that you have collected, the analysis, conclusion, and all of that. So this is how you could sort of elaborate on whatever you're teaching your students and whatever they are creating in and within the classroom. And yeah, that's everything about Elaborate, I believe. And we can now move on to the next E, I think, Simran.
Of course.
Yeah, evaluate being the 5th E. Evaluate, as the word says, all about assessments, rubrics, quizzes, so much to do. But who has time to bring in variety over there? You do, because now you have Adobe Express with you. I'm going to share my screen here directly so that I can take you there in the interest of time and show you so much that you can do over here. You see, I've typed quiz over here. While I typed quiz, there are ready quiz available over here. We talked about vocabulary quiz. Now look at this one. It's such a beautiful one. This brings in clarity in the minds of students, not just challenging them to spell, but also bring in clarifications. Like I have said in multiple sessions, I've said misconceptions are something that we really need to address. You could be addressing it something like this also. Additionally, there are multiple quiz over here that you can use. They are literally ready for you to take. Needless to say that. Apart from that, what I like to type is, my keyword is assessment. This piece brings you some of the pieces that are absolutely amazing. Of course, you do have your unit lesson plans available and you do have multiple formats available. You already know about it. I absolutely love this writing rubric. Now, assessment in itself is a piece to design and it's not easy. And it brings to forefront what is it that my students have learned. Not just telling me what have they learned, what I as a teacher have been able to deliver, have been able to help my students understand throughout this engagement. So if I were to bring all of these 5 E's together, this is a framework that you could adopt in your classes, take back to inculcate into deeper learning, deeper understanding, better clarity of what is going on in my students' mind. And before landing into those assessments, you already know what points to revisit. I hope, Adobe Express will help you in a large way to address to address the need for you to know what's going on in the minds of your students and make thinking more visible.
Of course. Thank you so much for explaining these 5 E's of learning. But again, there's a question, how can we integrate all these 5 E's of learning in our classroom, and do we need to do it like simultaneously together? Do we have to keep a check and balance of what is being integrated and what not?
Yeah, it's a lot. 5 E's. When do I start integrating them? But you see, that's a framework. You could actually begin by just bringing in the first one, just engage. I'm just going to pick up engage as one of the pieces to bring in into my next unit as I start with my new lesson plan. Next time, you could actually try explore. So once you've had a test and trial of these in your classrooms, you could pick it according to your choice. Not every chapter initially will have all the 5 E's, but somewhere we need to make a start. And this pragmatic approach, so there's a thought process behind this framework. I would not go into explain first and then go into engage. So try and follow the sequence at least if you can, and then see what the results, and then do share with us. We would love to hear from you. How have you been able to benefit from these 5Es and making thinking visible?
All right, let's quickly take this one last question. As an educator, how can we convert our template into different languages, say French, German, Hindi, English?
Yeah, sure. So I think I'd like to take that up, and for that I'd like to present my screen to all of you so that you can see along with me how you are able to convert. I think this is a visual that I had just to wrap up the session, that visual thinking routines will help you represent thinking quickly. You can use a lot of icons, images in Flash. You can show the ideas in like a multimodal way, as you just saw with the help of all of these infographics, videos, etc. that we created, and also it will help you get your students excited about the learning process. So yeah, that was just to sum up what we have done today. And now I move on to my, let's say, one of the templates that I was working on. I'm just going to go to any existing template that I might have here, a simple one probably. Let's just say I want a worksheet on English. Okay, so I'm going to type English worksheet. And let's say I am a French teacher and I want to adapt this particular English worksheet to French or German or Hindi for that matter, and I want to just make sure that this particular worksheet gets converted into another language. Now what I could do is, there are two things I could do. I'm just going to go to this particular worksheet which has like very basic examples of text and also has some images as well. So on your top, you can see that I have this worksheet ready with me. It's an English worksheet, but on your top, there's an option that says translate. When I click on that, it sort of asks me to select one or more languages in which I can translate this into. So when I start scrolling, I find a lot of these languages listed down here. There's Bangla, there's Chinese, Croatian, Danish, English, Filipino, German, Gujarati, Hindi as well. So I'm just going to start with actually Hindi, and maybe I could also translate it into French, and then let's see if we can duplicate and translate this sheet into these two languages for now. When I click on the duplicate and translate button, it sort of duplicates this entire thing for me to this worksheet, and now when I double click on one of this, you will see that it has gotten translated to Hindi. Now you might see a couple of matras here and there, but don't worry, you have your Google Translate, so you could translate, or you could use your Hindi keyboards and you could translate your whatever worksheets you are creating into that particular language, whichever language you would want to. And then if I move on to the next one, which was like my French worksheet, so again you can all see that if I click here, move it to like a bigger size, you will be able to see how it has translated into French as well. Now, a lot of times Sanskrit teachers would ask me, or even Odia teachers ask me that, ma'am, how can I translate my sheets? Is that language not available? When is it coming? So hold on teachers, we are bringing on to more languages, but as of now, you could select and see the kind of languages we have. For other teachers, like Sanskrit teachers, what they usually would do is they would use the Google Translate option, and then they would go back, they would keep the icons as it is, but they would use Google Translate to sort of copy paste the content that they have or the content that they want to be on their worksheet. So that's what you can do, and that's how you can bring in translations to your worksheets.
I believe that our viewers will take a note of all the important areas that have been highlighted by both the experts. Ma'am, we also have a Padlet image, so would you like to display it to our viewers?
Yeah, I think there's a Padlet that the teachers have been putting on, and that is the Padlet QR code. If you don't have the QR code yet, please click an image of this QR code or keep it handy so that you can upload your creations with us. It is very, very important for all of you to share your creations with us, because otherwise we'll not get to know what all you are creating, and we absolutely love to see what you're creating. And as you can see on my screen, I have opened up the Padlet, and oh, thank you so much. So I see Miss Ambika has shared one certain strategy with us, or she's created this particular formation of a company sort of timeline, I think. And there's another one that she has done, which is the KWL chart. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sending this to us. And we absolutely love seeing all of these creations that you do. For example, has Shagun Sharma ma'am, she shared her question, what is memory, what is the primary memory, secondary memory, etc. And this is a worksheet on computer memory. Absolutely love this one, ma'am. And I think that with the help of these creations that you keep sending us, other teachers also sort of get inspired and create these beautiful creations. So if you have already created something, you could just download that and then press this plus button on your Padlet, and then you can type in the subject. So you could type in your name, the worksheet that you have created. So for example, I have done a KWL chart, and I could also say my school's name. For me, I'm just going to write Adobe India as of now, but then you could click on the upload button and you could just upload the screenshot or the worksheet that you have worked on. So let's say this is the one that I worked on, which is like a graphic brainstorm worksheet. I could then click on the publish button, and there you go. My sheet is now added here. So I request all the teachers who have joined us from various parts of the country today to please upload your creations on this Padlet so that we can see what you all are creating alongside with us.
So when we are working on Adobe Express, can we say that creativity has got absolutely no limits?
Absolutely, and you know, the best part is sitting over here live, we can say we have made thinking visible for our participants as well. We can see what's going on in their minds.
Yeah,
of course,
absolutely.
They can share their feedback with us also, and we also have our feedback QR code flashing on your screens. We would like to show the feedback QR code, the form, so that you can all connect with us. You can share your feedback with us. Well, your feedback matters a lot. So please scan this QR code, share your feedback with us, so we get to know whether we are successful in running these programs or not. What is the area you best like? What is the area you did not like, or maybe you did not understand better? And maybe if you would like us to repeat certain areas or topics for you, of course, please share those areas, those segments with us as well. The QR code was there on your screen, so do share your feedback with us. So very quickly, once again, I'd like to go to both our experts, and I would like to ask you that we have this training session for like 31st of July till.
Yeah.
So what's more in this? What are we going to discuss more? In fact, I'm curious to know. Just a glance, if you would like to share with our viewers.
So in our next session, we are going to talk about digital portfolios, and that's going to be really interesting because we have not touched upon that topic at all. So we are going to be learning how to create web pages, and on that web page, how we can maybe present our lesson plans, how we can create digital portfolios for our students, for us as teachers. And then moving ahead, we have a couple of strategy sessions on how teachers can use generative AI in the classroom. Remember, Simran, we did that session in which we created that tiger, that lion that was dressed up in a certain manner. So we're going to talk about how to do that in the classroom and bring that live in the classroom for your students. And then we also have one more session in our series A, which is, so there are 3 sessions in our series A that are remaining. So the third one would be on how to use PDF. So basically all the PDF options that you have on Adobe Express, we'll explore that. Along with that, we'll explore the Acrobat Reader as well.
And let us conclude our program with this one last maybe a comment from both of your end. Why do you think that technology or integration of technology in the classroom scenario is the need of the hour? Like, be it teachers who are specifically working in the subject of computer or not, it is important that you got to know, you have your hands on Adobe Express or the different softwares in order to understand and integrate that sort of learning in the classrooms. Why is that important?
I would say just 2 words. I would say it's important because you think clearly and you can also present that thinking very clearly. So with the help of Express, as you saw, that we were able to do so many things. And that's why I think it is important that it brings creativity in the classroom and it brings a lot of engagement in the classroom. So creativity and engagement are my 2 key words for the teachers who are listening to us.
Okay, we got creativity, we got engagement, and we also learned about the different 5 E's of learning. Meenakshi ma'am, I would also like to have a concluding comment from your end.
Absolutely. So while we are sitting in this world today, it's ever evolving, it's changing. And when technology can come into our personal lives, why not in education? We are preparing a generation for tomorrow. There are new skill sets that are required. If we keep teaching the way we have been teaching, I think we are depriving our students of a future that they really deserve. And while they can get this in their personal lives, education is something that can actually create a base for them to not just foster those skills, but hone those skills and excel in their life. So I would say make them lifelong learners, get them ready for future learning. Why not give them technology and let them enjoy and create something meaningful out of it?
Of course, let us all create something meaningful out of technology. Let us all use Adobe Express. And of course, I'll keep on saying this, that you can share your questions with us, you can share your feedback with us, so we can make the best possible use out of these training sessions. Thank you to our team from Adobe India. Thank you, Meenakshi ma'am. Thank you, Jasmeet ma'am.
Thank you.
Well, thank you to all the viewers who have connected with CIT and CRT for this particular live interactive program. This was the 7th training session where we discussed more about visual thinking, how you can introduce visual thinking aspects in your classrooms. We learned about the 5 E's of learning, how you can inculcate these different E's in your classroom and what are the possible learning outcomes that you can derive from your students. Thank you once again. Now it's a wrap up for this particular program, but let me apprise you that every Tuesday and Thursday from 3:30 till 5 p.m. we are running these special sessions for all of you as a part of creativity and AI skills segment. Today we discussed about visual thinking, how you can even access that and what exactly was visual thinking. Thank you so much once again. Next up we have our session of Sahyog where we try to provide guidance for mental well-being and psychosocial support to all the learners who keep on connecting with us for the diverse programs throughout the day. Physical well-being is as important as mental well-being. Therefore, we have these particular programs. So you have to connect with us through PM eVidya channel number 6 to 12 and through our YouTube channel, that is NCRT official, for the Sahyog program. These particular programs we are running live on NCRT events and also PM eVidya channel number 14. Thank you once again. Stay connected, keep watching eVidya channels and do connect with us for the upcoming program on NCRT official. Namaskar.